Hey, my magical friends. Welcome to another Witchful Ways podcast episode. I am Annika, offering you the insight, guidance, tools, and an amazing membership to allow you to live a magical life every single day. Today, let's chat about the 3 things that tend to hold people back from actually manifesting or getting their spell work to properly manifest what it is that they're looking for, right? When we are casting spells, that is what we are doing. We are manifesting. That's an action portion of our work towards manifesting something. We are working to achieve and or receive something, no matter you call it manifesting, you call it spell casting. Either way, we're looking to achieve and or receive something in the end, right? So same diff. So this comes from a conversation, and if you're inside my all access, you understand that we had this whole conversation, a deeper dive conversation at the monthly Coffee with a Crone live gathering that we have in there. And if you're not in there, go check it out. It's amazing. And it was because somebody had asked me, what am I doing that my spells aren't working? Like, I feel like I'm doing everything right. I got this spell off of somebody gave it to me. I found it on YouTube, whatever it was, right? I found it, I did it, and it just doesn't seem like it's working at all. I've cleansed everything. I've retweaked everything, and all this stuff, and it's still not working. So I wanted to address that. And I feel like it comes down to 3 things that people, witches, get hung up on when it comes to their spell work and or manifesting, right? Getting what it is that they want. The first thing is that they're being way too specific. Way too specific. So if you are looking for a new home, right? You're working on manifesting a new home. You're working on bringing into your reality with your spell casting and your rituals, bringing that new home to you. Well, if you decide that that house needs to be blue, it needs to be 5 miles from the lake, it needs to have a brick front porch and a 2-car garage, and that's what you work towards, only that specifically, then universe tends to get a little bottlenecked when it's trying to find that for you. You literally are giving it a 1-lane road that it has to follow to be able to find what it is that you desire, to be able to bring it into your path, right? So when we're very specific, and I'm not saying that specifics are bad. We want to be specific, but we also, I know this is going to sound like crazy, but we want to be specific, but we also want to give some generalization to it so that universe has a little bit of a wiggle room, if you will, to work the energies, to be able to bring that to you, to be able to put it into your realm of existence. So that means that, yes, you can say that you want the blue house 5 miles from the lake, brick patio and a 2-car garage, but I need it to be comfortable for my family. I need to be able to afford it easily. I need it to be able to, just be comfortable. Maybe, I don't know, not haunted, right? Something like that. Okay. So we put some generalization to it. And here's the reason why is because when you allow that wiggle room, you have now opened up universe's ability to be able to bring into your path what it is that you're looking to achieve and or receive from a 1-lane road to a 4-lane highway, right? Because universe, the energies work in a way where A has to happen before B can happen, before C can happen, right? They're setting up the dominoes, and we have to be able to allow universe to put those dominoes into place so that one can hit the other, can hit the next, so that it can take you to whatever it is that you are working towards. So if we leave a little bit of generalization, we know what we want, but it's really figuring it out to the T what it is that you want. Do you want that house the way that you described it so specifically because that is something that you saw maybe as a as a kid, for example, you didn't have the greatest house and somebody that you went to school with that you really admired or whatever had this house and it looked like that, right? So is that what you're correlating to success? Or is it that blue happens to be your favorite color? So that's why you added it in, right? So figuring out what it is, because in the core of it, is it that you want a house that's that specific? Or is it that you want something that you can be happy in and comfortable in and financially able to not have to worry about losing, right? So giving that generalization allows universe to work in mysterious ways, which is the best way that it works to bring us what we desire, right? So maybe there is a perfect house for you that is 4.5 miles from the lake. It's green, it has a brick patio, and it has a 2-car garage. Not exactly what you were looking for, but it is so close to what you were looking for that universe will put that into your path because maybe it's the best price, right? It's a steal of a deal, and it would be so easy for you to get into or whatever it is. But universe is going to put that into your path. You have to recognize that that is something that you have to look for when you're manifesting, right? When you're doing your spell work. It can't be so specific because universe is going to give it to you. You're going to get it, but it may take 30 years for everything to line up correctly for it to be able to be put into your path. Where if you give that wiggle room, now there's that underlying, as long as it's comfortable, right? Like these are the things that I want, but you're still looking for the other things. And since this one is so closely, perfectly matched to, except for the color, right? And a 1/2 mile difference to the lake, like you should look at that. You should stop and look at that home because it might be the perfect one. You can paint it from green to blue, right? Okay, so being really specific is something that bottlenecks things. When you're looking for something so specific, you put so much detail into it and don't allow for any wiggle room, it's going to take longer for those things to manifest for you. And with that, the next one is it what you really want? Because if you're working towards things that you really don't want, you're going to be working against yourself. Right? So is it something that you really want? Part A of that. Part B is universe, your higher self, spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, is going to always be looking out for your highest good. What is best for you? So maybe if you're looking and working towards manifesting in your spell casting and you're working towards something that is going to be a total disaster for you, let's say you've always been a mechanic your entire life and that's all that you know is working in mechanics, but you like cheeseburgers, so you decide that you're going to start a restaurant, a hamburger chain. Like you have no business sense. Right? That would be a disaster. Well, I mean, you know what I'm saying. Like there's exceptions to everything. But universe is going to say, you know what? Why don't we start a mechanic shop? If you're looking for a business, why don't we work with something that you're familiar with? Just because you like something doesn't mean that it's great for you to be into business, right? So there's always this, and subconsciously, because your higher self is always in direct connection with your physical self, your higher self is going to be going, nah, like, duh. Why don't we take the way that is going to definitely provide success for you based on your passions and your knowledge and work with that. So, and you know that, right? So when you're doing stuff, and we've all done that before, where we go ahead and we do something and we're like, yeah, I know I'm going to start, like, this is not for me, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. And you're pushing against yourself. So you don't give it your full effort. It's never going to be as good as it could be, right? And that's because you're working against yourself. So looking at sitting down and going, what is the core that I really want? Is it that I really want this specific house? Or is it that I really want to be comfortable and in a home that I can afford? Is it that you really want a hamburger business? Or is it that you really want your own business that you want to be successful, right? You want the success and the maybe notoriety, whatever, of having your own successful business. And that is going to allow, again, universe to bring you into alignment with what's going to work out best for you in the easiest way. You can do anything that you want. Universe is going to provide anything that you choose that you want. The key is it is going to be much easier, and you're going to be manifesting in a state of ease and flow when you're working with yourself, with universal energy. If you're giving that allowance to be able to understand that when you are working towards it, and in the conversation we had at the Coffee with a Crone, when you're working towards manifest, I want a new rocking chair, was Jess that's in there. Amazing. She's got her own group as well. But when we were speaking, she said, you know what? I was manifesting and I wanted this great comfy rocking chair because I was having a new grandbaby coming and I didn't know how, I didn't know where, right? We got to let go of the how. Didn't know how, I didn't know where I was going to find it, but I just know that that's what I was working towards. I knew that this is what I wanted. And she was driving somewhere and happened to go by a store that had rocking chairs on the front, in the front display area that she could see, and they were on sale. So she went in there and she found the perfect rocking chair for herself, which was on a great sale that meant it was within her budget, right? So she got this extra thing, this luxury thing that she wanted over and above. It's how universe works. Provides to you what you want in the best way possible, as long as you are always on the lookout for what it is that universe is delivering to you. Okay. So being very mindful of what it is that you actually want, the core of what you actually want to be able to have. So not being so specific, letting wiggle room be there, making sure that it's the core of what you really want, as well as knowing that you have to be on the lookout for those things, those weird things, if you will, that is actually delivering. Like if you're trying to manifest so much money and that manifestation delivers to you as a coupon instead of the dollar amount, right? That's still manifesting. It still worked. So sometimes when we say our spells didn't work, that's no matter what I'm doing, it's not working. It's actually working. It's just working in the best way possible for you and the way that universe needs to deliver it to you so that you can still get to the end goal that you're working towards. It just may not look like the vision you had in your mind because we have to let go of the how, right? We don't sit down at a restaurant and order our food and the waitress walks away and then we keep asking the waitress to go in the back and check with the chef to make sure that they're still making our food. We don't do that. We place our order and we just believe and know and understand that it is going to be delivered to us when it's ready. We do the same thing with our manifesting, with our spell casting. We have to let go of the how and recognize that the how it ends up coming to us anyways, may look gravely different than what we expected it to, right? So we placed our order. We knew it was going to be delivered. It comes to us and well, our salad looks a little bit different than it did in the picture, right? There's not enough tomatoes in it that we like, right? So there's things that it's delivered to us, may not look exactly right. Can we change those things that don't look exactly right? Maybe it's just better for us, right? That we didn't get whatever it was that we were asking for. If you're looking for a double slice of cake or something like that, and you only get one slice of it. But there are other portions of things that we achieve and or receive that we can add on to or fix or do without and still be absolutely happy in the way that we have manifested, that universe has delivered whatever it is that we were working towards to us. And then the last reason, the third reason that I find that people discover that their spell work is not working is because they are using somebody else's recipe or they don't understand how the ingredients work together. So when we're working on our spell casts or in our energy work or whatever aspect of it, but when we're working as witches in our energy manipulation, which is what our magical working is, we are using tools, ingredients, actions, intentions, right? We don't need the tools or the ingredients. You get to a point when you are in your practice that you no longer need those things. And that's the ultimate place to be when it comes to magic. But we like those things because they help us to focus. Tools and ingredients are used in the physical to help us focus so that our energy can be more directly concentrated and placed, if you will, flowed into universal energy, right? Into the spiritual. So that's what the tools are for. The crystals, the herbs, the wands, the athames, whatever it is, your altar vessels, all of those things are only there to help focus and direct energy. That's it. You don't need them, but we like them, right? Us witches, we love our jars and our rocks and our sparkly things. I especially love the sparkly things, right? So we like the aesthetics of it. We like the magical feel of it. We like that aspect of it. And that's why we use those things and buy those things and make those things. And that's amazing. But we have to understand that we need to be using spells are best and most powerful when they are created by you. Because you are putting your energy into that spell work right from the spark of creation. As soon as you think about you want to have, do this spell for whatever outlook it is, whatever outcome it is, as soon as you think of that, that's the spark of creation, right? So then when you create your own incantation and your own spell and your own ritual work and your own casting action surrounding that, it is so much more powerful because your personal energy, your intention, and most importantly, your emotion is put into the work of the spell. So you can do that for yourself. Of course, you can be doing spell work. I offer spell work for other people. You can be doing that. It's still you creating that force that is going to be placed into universal energy flow to make whatever it is happen. Right? So that's why I'm not saying that using spells out of, that you found on Google or out of a Facebook group or, whatever. I have a whole spell vault in All Access. There's a whole vault that you can go in and find hundreds of spells, thousands of spells. But when you use those as starting boards for yourself, if you're unfamiliar, if you're new at spell casting, then look at it, get used to those, use those things and see how it elicits emotion from you and then tweak them and make them your own. Kind of like you get grandma's recipe for her chocolate chip cookies and you do a little tweaking of your own, right? So that you're like, I like a little bit more sugar. So I'm going to add just a pinch more sugar to it. Now you have made that spellcast your own. You've made that recipe your own. You've taken the original, added, subtracted, substituted, whatever, changed timing, whatever it is, and now it has become your own. So now each time that you use that spellcast, action, ritual, whatever it is going to be so much more powerful each and every time, because each and every time you do it and you understand that it's your energy and that it is your creation, more of your energy, more of your vibe, if you will, gets put into it. Okay. So there's that. Use everybody else's spells, the books and, all that kind of stuff. Use those spells, if you will, as a starting point, but get used to creating your own, because that's where crone magic power comes from, is from the experience of your own creation, right from the spark of creation. Okay, the second part of that and the last part of this whole thing is the ingredients and the tools and the things that you are using in your spell work. You have to have a specific response to. You have to resonate with it. So again, if you're using somebody else's spell, you're using what they put together in their idea of how those things work together for them to be able to have an outcome. Okay. And that's great, like I said. But correspondence charts were created by somebody else off of their emotional response to an ingredient or an item. Make your own correspondence charts. Figure out what it is that you what it is that you work best with and how you can work best with those things. So if you think about the 1800s back in the day, right? They did not have the ability to get any ingredients other than what was in their natural surroundings. Somebody in the United States was not going to be ordering devil's shoestring from overseas or from another state, right? Like that just wasn't a thing. You learn to work with the natural powers and energies that are in your locality. So that means for me, I'm in the Midwest, right? So that means for me, something that is a flower or a tree or an herb, whatever that is grown easily here and is just around me all the time. Like we have tons of goldenrod all over the place around here. I don't know if that grows everywhere else, but somewhere where that doesn't grow, they probably are not using goldenrod, right? Again, talking back in the day. Now we can order anything. And if you want to have 52 different ingredients and herbs in your magical arsenal, by all means, you do you, witchy poo. That is my motto, right? You do you, witchy poo. But I can tell you that I have been working with magical energy since 1985. And at this point now, being the crankety crone, I guess that I am, I have about 9 to 13 different herbs that I work with only. Because out of those, I can get synergistic energies together, putting them together to work in a way that I need to. And I have one herb that I can use in 4 different magical ways, right? Like kind of like you can use water in all different ways to create and destroy, right? So really getting to know the ingredients that you are working with. You don't need all the things. You can have all the things. You can buy all the things. You can discover all the things and you can play with all the things. Have a blast. And I did through all the years as well. At one point, I think I had like 106 different little vials of all the different herbs and things. Because back years ago, they probably still do on eBay. They would sell like all these little packets of 105 different herbs or whatever. So, but I have been able to, through the years, sit down, really work with one ingredient for a period of time, for an entire lunar cycle. Work with this one, lavender. Let's take lavender, for example. For an entire lunar cycle, new moon to new moon, I am going to work with lavender. That's the only ingredient that I'm going to work with. I'm going to see how it works for me for tranquility. I'm going to see how it works for me for transformation. I'm going to see how it works, right? Like all the different things that you're working on in that cycle, see how it works for you. Take note of it. Understand then how you can use lavender, whether or not you want to use lavender, and all the different ways that you can use it. Because here's the thing. If you use a correspondence chart, generally lavender is calm, tranquil, sleep, right? Kind of thing. So if you are doing dream work, or if you are doing, a dream pillow or a sachet, as a spell sachet or whatever for sleep, insomnia, something like that, and you put lavender in it and you tuck it underneath your pillow, but you hate the smell of lavender, that is not going to elicit the emotional response that you need and want for your spell work to work, for your ritual to actually be powerful. Because again, you're working against yourself because you put it in there because it's in the charts and that's what everybody says it's supposed to have, but yet it stinks and it's not doing it for you. However, you can substitute anything else that works for you. Say when you were younger, your grandpa used to read you bedtime stories when you would spend time with him or whatever. It was very soothing, calming, and safe for you. And he always smelled like cherry tobacco. So instead of using lavender, why would you not substitute in that cherry tobacco? Because you know that that is the emotional response that you are going to get from that ingredient, which you could also use that same thing when you're working with connecting with grandpa, right? Or when you're working with spells for wisdom because grandpa was wise, or right? So hopefully that makes sense, so that you make sure that your magical arsenal of ingredients, really is something that you emotionally resonate with, and then create your spells from those. And I tell you, you will not even believe how amazingly powerful your magic can become in such a short period of time if you just take the time to hone into it. Don't worry about the new trending fluffy witchcraft that's being shown, all the aesthetics that's being shown, right? The spell bottles, all that kind of stuff that's being shown. You do you, witchy poo. You have become a witch because you are connected, or you live as a witch because you are connected. You understand the power of universal energy flow and of nature. So that means that you have to really study universal energy flow and what's provided for you in nature, in your surroundings, and use it, because you can do amazing, amazing things. And with that, I want to remind you to head over and grab your free guides and information over at witchfulways.com. I look forward to connecting with you soon. Until next time, have a wonderfully magical rest of your day.